Hey y'all, I'm Paula Deen, and whether you prefer sugar or spice, I'm gonna make everything nice with some of my favorite desserts that are so delicious. But before I get started, let's run to Plains, Georgia, the peanut capital of the world, for some of their freshly creamed peanut butter. And then we're gonna head back to the kitchen where I'm gonna put Bob's peanut butter pie recipe to taste test that is. And today we're making the cream of my cheesecake crop, smothered in a syrupy praline sauce. And if that's not sweet enough, I'm gonna spice it up with my crunch top apple pie that's sure to please. So y'all bring your sweet tooth, cause life's about to get even sweeter. I don't know if y'all are aware or not, but I went to Plains, Georgia and had the most wonderful chat with one of our presidents, Jimmy Carter. Had such a wonderful time. And as you know, Plains is all about peanuts. For today's show, I think we ought to go back to Plains and get some peanuts and maybe even some peanut butter, because today it's all about sugar and spice and everything nice. Just what us little girls are made of. So y'all come with me. We're gonna have a nutty day today. Yoo-hoo. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Paula. How you doing again?
Fine. It's so good to see you. I hadn't seen you since I was here to chat with the president.
Well, good. How'd the chat go?
Oh, gosh. It was just fabulous.
Hey, got
I'm
something?
here for another reason today, though. I heard about your peanut butter. Bobby, what makes your peanut butter so much better?
Our peanut butter is an all natural. It's nothing but fried peanuts ground up into peanut butter. Everything in here is good for you.
Well, I'm thinking about making a pie. I got a couple of recipes for peanut butter pies.
I've got a great peanut butter pie recipe.
Would you share it with me?
I certainly will. We used to serve this in our restaurant whenever we was here in Plains. So this is a great peanut butter pie recipe that you could use if you like.
Well, I can't wait to get to my kitchen and make that pie. I appreciate so much you give me the peanut butter and the recipe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. I'll see you next time
All right.
I'm in Plains.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, did y'all have fun visiting Plains? Such a pretty little town, and the Carters are so nice. And wasn't Bobby just cute as a pig's ear? I was just thrilled to get his homemade peanut butter. But when he said, well, Paula, you want a recipe too? I said, you bet I do, baby. What a bonus. So we're gonna be making Bobby's peanut butter pie later on. But first we're gonna start with cheesecake. So let's get going. Now we're gonna start with graham cracker crumbs and a little sugar and a little melted butter. I just love my little cast iron skillet for melting my butter in. All right, so we're just gonna mix that up and moisten all of those crumbs in there with that butter. So we're just gonna dump those into our pan, kind of get it distributed and press it down. Okay, so we got that in there nicely. So we'll move on over to the center of our cheesecake. And we're gonna start with 3 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. This is gonna make a big fat cheesecake. All right, we're gonna put a cup of sugar, and we're just gonna beat this until it's creamy. Make sure our beaters are in there right, and they are. Now we're gonna add 5 eggs, and I'm gonna add those one at a time, giving them an opportunity to get worked into that cream cheese and sugar. All right, now we're putting the eggs in it because it's gonna make it cake-like, because you know we're not putting any flour in this particular recipe. Some recipes actually call for like 1/4 of a cup of flour, but we're putting in none in this one. All right, so we're just gonna mix that up good. We're gonna add a tablespoon of vanilla, which is just gonna flavor it perfectly, and we're ready to go. I'm gonna raise my beater slowly, leaving it running just ever so low to kind of sling that batter off of those. That helps clean our beaters off. Now we're gonna pour it into our crust. Oh, doesn't that look good? It's just as smooth as a baby's behind. Right now we're gonna get this in the oven, and We're gonna let that bake for about 45 minutes. And then we're gonna pull it out, let it cool for a minute, and we're gonna top it with one of my favorite ingredients in the whole world, sour cream. So I've got one that should be ready over here for the topping. So let's give it a check. Oh, and it is, it's ready. Look at that nice cheesecake. See where it's got a little crack around the edges letting us know it's ready. So I'm gonna sit it right here while we stir together our sour cream. And I wouldn't recommend using a light sour cream. I would go ahead, since you're having cheesecake, and do the full strength sour cream. And then we're gonna add a little sugar and a little vanilla flavoring. And this doesn't require a mixer. We're just gonna stir that sugar into our sour cream. Now I'm just gonna take this and pour it over the top of our cheesecake, and we're gonna run it back in the oven for an extra 5 minutes so that sour cream can kind of set up on top of our cream cheese. Now we're just gonna spread that around evenly, and that 5 minutes in the oven is just gonna let that sour cream kind of set up. All right, we're gonna let that bake for 5 minutes. And when we come back, I've got one that's cooling in the window and ready for that sinful praline sauce. So y'all grab your cup of coffee and come right back, because the best is yet to come. Okay, I've got this cheesecake in the window that's totally chilled. There's a nice little breeze this morning, so it is totally cool. I'm gonna sit it right here, and we're gonna make that sinful praline sauce to go on. It won't take it but a minute to make. I'm gonna use, about 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar. I'm gonna do just a little extra. And then I've got ordinary cornstarch, and this is gonna tighten up our praline sauce so it'll stick to that cheesecake. I'm gonna kind of mix that together quickly, and then we're gonna add 1 cup of dark corn syrup. That's gonna give us a nice caramelly praline look to our sauce. And we're just gonna cook this just long enough for the cornstarchy taste to dissolve and the sugar. And while that's getting hot and bubbly, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna just do a light chop to these pecans. We don't want them ground too fine, because you want to know that you're actually eating a pecan on top of that cheesecake, just like that. That's probably about a 1/2 cup. And when we take it off, I'm gonna add some vanilla flavoring. But I've already got some here that's cooled and ready for our cheesecake. Look how delicious this looks. That caramel and that pecan. Oh, it's gonna be so good. All right, we're gonna just gently remove that ring. I just love cheesecake. I love coming to work every day. All right, I'm gonna ease up there. Perfect cheesecake. Whoops. That won't hurt it though. All right, this is nice and bubbly. So I'm gonna turn it off. All right, here we go. Get set, go. And you see where I messed up that plate? I think I know just what'll fix it. We're gonna cover that up with just a little bit of sweetened fresh cream. Does that look delicious or what? Wish you were here, Michael. Too bad. It's unbelievably wonderful. I'm gonna sit that right there. And now let's move on to Bobby's peanut butter pie. I'm gonna take an 8-ounce package of cream cheese, and I'm gonna give it just a quick little beat to get it creamy and smooth. All right, now I'm gonna take just 4x powdered sugar and add to that. All right, now I'm gonna cut that off, and I'm gonna put a cup of Bobby's peanut butter in it. And this is a natural peanut butter. It doesn't taste like your store-bought. All right, there we go. And I'm gonna just add that to the cream cheese. Give that a quick whip. Down in Southwest Georgia, peanuts are a very high commodity. In fact, Mr. Jimmy started selling peanuts on the streets of Plains when he was 4 years old. So he realized the value of this nut very early on in his life. Now all we have to do at this point is fold it into our heavy cream. Now if you wanted to, I guess you could use a refrigerator type topping, but the fresh cream really makes it good. So just gonna fold that together into that whipping cream, and we're gonna put it into a store-bought graham cracker crust. So we're just gonna pile that in there. All right, we've got this one piled high, full of that peanut butter and cream cheese and heavy cream, and we're gonna stick it in the refrigerator and just let it set up, which won't take long. In fact, I already have one that's ready right here for us to pull out and look at and possibly even sample. Doesn't that look good? It's got a nice brown look to it. See how it cuts. Oh, it cuts beautifully. And I'm just gonna cut me a little tiny piece. Doesn't that look yummy? Looks delicious. And I'm gonna sprinkle it with just a few peanuts, just a few extra, and put me a dollop of cream on it. Looks like this one turned out just perfect. So good, Bobby. Thank you, Jean, so much for writing down this recipe for me. Y'all don't go anywhere, because next I'm going to be baking up a crunchy, topped, hot apple pie. So I'll see y'all in a minute. Now I've just taken my first apple pie out of the oven, and I'm gonna sit it here in the window and let it cool. And if y'all will, come back into the kitchen, because I wanna show you how easy it was to make America's favorite pie, the apple pie. I wish y'all were here to smell how delicious that pie smells. So easy though, you can have you one in the oven just in a jiffy. I'm gonna start by using Rome apples, and I'm gonna squeeze about a tablespoon of lemon juice over them to just keep them from turning dark. And I'm gonna use about 3/4 a cup of sugar. And to that, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of flour, a pinch of salt, and some ground cinnamon. And we're just gonna stir that up. One of my buddies, her name's Julia Christian, she gave me this recipe. She said, Paula, you gotta try this. It's just my favorite of all the apple pies. And I did, and I love it because we actually put applesauce in it, which makes it so good. So we're gonna toss our apples into our sugar and flour and get those apples nice and coated with that sugar. Ooh, I can smell the lemon and the cinnamon. All right, now we're just gonna add our applesauce, which really is just a little different from your ordinary apple pie. We're just gonna give that a little stir. Doesn't that look yummy? All right, I'm gonna let that sit there a minute because I wanna talk to you about your pie crust. You probably hear me saying all the time, I really love the refrigerated dough. Now I've taken one section and I have put it in our pie plate. And you see I'm using a deep pie plate for the apple pie today. And we're just gonna take that and pour it into the raw crust, because this is gonna bake long enough for your crust to actually get done on you. I'm gonna just make sure that applesauce is distributed all around there. And I'm gonna dot it with some butter. Just season up those apples just a little bit. Okay. Now, we're gonna put a lattice crust on this pie, and it's so very simple. We're gonna take an extra round of dough. Now this is on parchment paper so it won't stick on me. Now I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna run it down into my flour so the dough won't stick to our knife. We're just gonna cut us some strips. Now if you like wide lattice, you can cut them wide. If you like a narrow lattice, you can cut them more narrow. All right, so we're gonna start with the outside of our circle, and I'm gonna use 5 strips. Now latticing is very, very simple. I'm gonna pull every other strip back and lay a piece of crust in there and then fold that back over. So you see I've got 3 strips under, 2 strips over. All I'm gonna do now is take the 3 strips that are under, bring them back, and come in there with another piece. Bring them back over, and then do the same thing again with another strip. As it looks like it might be hard, but it's not at all. And we have a latticed pie crust. Now I'm gonna come in and just take the edges and trim them up to fit our plate. Now before we put that in the oven, we are gonna make a crunch topping for it. It's very, very simple to do. We're gonna take some flour, some sugar, and just a pinch of salt. And then we're gonna cut in some butter until it's kind of crumbly, just like we were making biscuits. And then we're gonna come over here and just sprinkle this on top of our pie. All right, now we're gonna slip this into the oven, which has been preheated to 425 degrees. We're gonna let it bake for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna lower the temperature to 350. But this one in the window should be ready for you and me to taste. And you know, I don't believe that we can have a piece of apple pie without some vanilla ice cream. So you see I got my scoop right ready. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this one and get it on the plate. And while I'm getting this ready, I wanna tell you how Southerners love their apple pie. When I was a little girl and my mother would make apple pies, she would always pull out the cheddar cheese, grate that, put it on top of the slice of apple pie, and run it under the broiler. And we would have cheese-topped apple pie that was so delicious. But I'm gonna serve this first piece with vanilla ice cream. Doesn't that look good? You can see all the applesauce oozing out of there. Y'all think I got me enough ice cream? I hope this is gonna work out right. Oh, doesn't that just look yummy? It's too good and too simple. I gotta take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm gonna share some baking tips with you. So y'all don't leave me now. There's so many varieties of apples out there, it can almost confuse one. But if you'll stick with an apple that has a lot of sugar in it, that will help it hold its shape. And for your apple pies, I recommend the Rome apple, the Granny Smith, or the Golden Delicious. All these will work out real, real well for your pie. And for those big old cheesecakes, if you're having a cocktail party and everybody just wants a little bite, just downsize them into your mini muffins and people will think you're just wonderful and awfully, awfully sweet. I hope that y'all's sugar and spice day will be as sweet and spicy as mine's been. I hope that you'll try the cheesecake recipe, just lathered with sour cream and the praline sauce. And of course, Bobby and Jean's peanut butter pie is just out of this world. And the crunch top apple pie is just so delicious. In fact, I've got some with some melted cheese on it that I've just got to taste. You just need to try this because cheese and apples just go together. My mother may not be with me today, but she'll forever live in my heart. And on that note, America, I wish you best dishes from my kitchen to yours.